Hey guys, Danny the Medic here. Welcome to my channel, Gun Hobby. Now, today's video is going to be about whether or not 22 long rifle is good enough for self-defense. Right? Now, I have watched a lot of videos out there on YouTube. You got the guy with the vintage jacket, the guy that mysteriously appears like in the desert. You got some guy that does not like eggplant, all different kinds of stuff, right? And I've watched a lot of videos on the topic and gotten a whole bunch of different answers, right? Some of the popular ones would be, if you are recoil sensitive, then blah, blah, blah. Or, oh, if this is the only thing you have and you somehow cannot get a bigger caliber, then it'll be fine, etc., etc., like for me, I'm gonna have to tell you, yes, this is good enough for self-defense, right? Because this is a weapon, and what are weapons for? Fighting, right? It's like weapons make fighting more better than you fighting with your bare hands, right? You get a pointy stick, that's a weapon, right? And there have been answers, yes, it's better than a pointy stick, right? So now, you're wondering, in the world of handguns, right? I got 38 special, I got 32 auto, I got 9mm, etc., right? But why is the 22 LR good enough for me as a carry piece, right? Well, because of who I am and what I am fighting, okay? Now, that's very important, right? Who you are and what you are fighting, okay? Now, who am I? I'm just a regular, ordinary guy. I never wear like expensive clothes. I never carry around huge bags of money. And I don't know, there's really no reason to, come and attack me, because I'm just a regular old guy minding my own business, okay? Hence, like concealed carry self-defense piece. Now, like 22 LR, I could right away, I can imagine a couple of scenarios about defense where it will not do, right? One thing, it will not do lions and tigers and bears. No, it's not good enough, right? For many reasons. Like lions and tigers and bears don't know they'll have to go to the hospital if they get shot with this. All right? Now, it's not going to be good for soldiers fighting a war. Maybe as their fifth piece on their body, then maybe, after they've gone through their AR and their AK and then their SIGs and Berettas and then finally they got nothing left but this, okay, that's fine, right? But generally, no, wouldn't be your top choice, because when you're fighting a war, who are you fighting? You're fighting other people who's fighting a war, and to them, like they have to stay there and fight. It's about the country, it's about the loyalty, it's about yada, 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 right? Now, who is this not good for? People with small penises, right? Yeah, there are going to be people with small penises out there who have to get 45 auto because, the diameter is thicker, whatever the reason may be. Okay. Who else is this not good for? It's not good for your police officer on duty, right? You're on duty. I mean, like, if you're a good police officer, you have to stay at the gunfight, return fire, apprehend the perp, all that stuff. With this ain't good enough, no, I'm so sorry, no. All right. So, why is this good enough for me? Okay, I'll tell you. As your regular law-abiding citizen, right, what is my enemy? Anyone I have to fight, it will be for a reason that is not very important, okay? It's just not very important. It'll be like a trivial fight at best. It's just gonna be people. I'm not gonna be fighting mountain lions and tigers and cheetahs, none of that. Not even wild dogs or, I don't go onto other people's property and have to defend against like their barking dog, right? I'll be fighting human beings, okay? Now, when it comes to human beings, right, the 22 LR will definitely make a hole in the person, perhaps even 8, 10, 14 inches, and it will go through leather, denim, basically all kinds of winter clothing. And well, basically, if you're not wearing body armor, you're going to the hospital. If you get shot center mass with this thing, right? That being said, so knowing this, right, now, the human beings I'll be fighting, I can imagine, are crazy, drugged out, desperate human beings. No, I'm gonna save desperate for later. Crazy and drugged out, okay? They're attacking you. Now, crazy and drugged out people will probably have like a bottle, or a rock or something. I mean, like, I can easily outrun those people, I'm pretty sure I can, right? Especially after I shoot them a couple of times with this thing, I can easily outrun them, So that, is that. But the chances of me encountering a crazy drugged out person out to get me specifically, that I cannot outrun, the chances are like zero. Ain't gonna happen, right? Because I don't go to places where they hang out. I'm at home. My door's locked. You know what I mean? And so who else do I have to fight? Let's see. Yes, the people who are desperate, all right? Desperate people are out to get me, right? Now, they don't want me particularly because, not like that, but the money in my wallet, the things I have that maybe they can sell for drugs, you know what I mean? So maybe $100, right? Now, I don't usually carry anything worth more than $100, and I don't carry cash in my pocket like that. So, and even if so, people targeting me specifically don't know how much money I got. So it's a big question mark in their mind, right? They're gonna be like, hey, look at that Chinese guy over there with the hat. Isn't that Danny the medic? I think he has $50. Let's go get it from him, right? They got a knife, they got a gun, whatever. I pull this out. By the way, if I'm pulling this out, I'll be emptying the cylinder. If I'm not going to empty the cylinder, I'm not going to pull this out. That's my belief. You do not pull it out unless you are definitely going to use it, right? Because it's a crime to pull it out and then not use it. I think they call it brandishing, right? The specifics about that, I'm not too sure, but trust me, I'm not pulling this out. No way, not unless I absolutely have to use it, and at the time that I will use it. You know what I mean, right? So they're coming for me and they want $50, right? And I pull this out, I start shooting. Are they gonna stay there and just like fight back for $50? Like, what exactly is $50 gonna buy you nowadays? Nothing. So I don't have to worry about that, right? Good enough for me. Now, desperate people, okay? What would drive someone to crime? I could imagine if you're really, really hungry, super, super hungry, and you're gonna, see Danny the medic walking around with a bag of buffet. Hey, that's Danny the medic. He got a bag of buffet or whatever I happen to have, a bag of McDonald's, and they want it real bad because they're starving to death. Nowadays, how likely is that? Someone starving to death on the street, and if they're starving so bad, and believe it or not, with new research, people who are starving to death are actually stronger and not weaker. Nowadays, if you do a fast, you get actually stronger, etc., etc. Who knew, right? You would think that if you don't eat, you get weaker. No, that's not the case, right? But all right. So let's say you're starving to death. Your option is to either, fight me for some food, or just walk into the 7-Eleven, grab like a ding dong off the shelf and run out of the store with it. Which one's easier, right? Then there are people who could easily just like walk by a restaurant, ask nicely, I'm starving, do you have any leftovers I can have? Like, there's always a way to fix that, much easier than having to deal with fighting somebody, right? So That being said, like if someone comes up with a knife and want my wallet, I pull this out, I shoot them a couple of times with this, it's over, right? There's no reason for them to stay and fight harder, and they must win. So it's not like you're fighting the soldier, stuff like that. Now cops, they got a duty, right? Now let's say the criminal, right? Is this good enough for a criminal? Obviously not good enough for a criminal, because the criminals are desperate, right? When they're fighting against cops. I'm not a cop, So like if you're like fighting a cop, we're talking about people who are fighting for their personal freedom, because if they lose that fight, God forbid, like things get out of hand like that, unfortunately it happens in this society, they end up locked away for years on end, and some people avoid that at all costs. So, I'm not a criminal, I'm a law-abiding citizen. There'll never be a case where I'll be fighting a cop for my own personal freedom from prison. You know what I mean? Doesn't make sense, right? So, 22 long rifle. Plenty good enough. Like that. Now, let's move on to the advantages. Now, I have a similar snub in 38 special, and I could get like plus P, and I can get it like this. Oh, there's a new ammo out there. I mean, like new to me, I haven't purchased it yet, called the Federal Punch. Wonderful ballistic performance and all that stuff. Mushroom and yada yada yada. It's all nice and everything, but those things are super loud, right? If you don't wear hearing protection when shooting that thing, I don't think you'll be happy. Whereas with this, I could actually shoot like in the Nevada desert with no hearing protection, and I'm fine. Because these little things don't make too much noise. Not too much noise at all. I like these. All right. That, of course, my snub only got 5 rounds. This is 9. You could even get something maybe with 8 or 10, perhaps. I think the Smith & Wesson 617 has a 10-round cylinder, and the modern versions of this, the 942 by Taurus, got 8 in the cylinder, and I think the Smith & Wesson, the 43C has 8. But anyway, I'm not going to change this out, because here in New York City, to change out a gun, it's like a mountain of paperwork. Ain't going to happen, right? So yeah, to me it's good enough. I'll tell you, in all my life, I never needed to pull out a gun for any situation, right? Now, of course, that's me, like people who want to, steal my wallet or something. I'm about like 5'10", 200 pounds. They'll think about it, so to each their own. There are going to be people who are disgusting enough to try to prey on senior citizens, thinking they're easy targets. For senior citizens, please arm yourselves. No matter where you go, because you can't be a victim nowadays. People's going to try, stuff like that. I'm not a pretty girl wearing a short skirt coming out of a club. Like I really have no features that would draw attention to me. I'm just your regular old guy. So yes, because of that, 22 is perfectly fine. All right, so now let's move on to different scenarios, right? Now, let's say my enemy is not a person that wants my wallet or coming to me personally, and perhaps it's somebody that is like a crazy mass shooter, right? And you know how they are. They got a couple of guns and they're going around shooting people, right? Now, is this good enough for that? Sure it is, right? Because mass shooting, well, obviously, if it's within my sight, I'm not going to stand there and try to return fire. I'll be running for cover and then maybe return fire from a covered position or something. But, I'm not going to, I don't think it's going to be like a one-on-one Old West confrontation with your mass shooter, right? Now, let's say there's a mass shooter walking through the building, right? And I barricade myself into, a room or something, and hiding with the rest of the people, then is this good enough? Sure it is. I'll just hang up by the door with this out. I'll just be waiting for the door to open and to see, and I have to be sure that it is the mass shooter. There'll be 9 rounds of 22 in the head. You gotta practice and with your marksmanship and everything, and that'll be plenty good, I believe. Now that being said, the likelihood of that happening is like 0, right? Sure, mass shootings happen, and but this is like countries the size of what? It's the size of like a whole bunch of other countries and 300 million people. Sure, it happens here and there, but what are the chances of me personally being there while it happens? Absolutely none. None, guys. None. Right? And for other situations like invading, like all of a sudden some foreign country invades the USA, I can still make it home. Got a bunch of other stuff I can, So that being said, the 22 LR snub nose is good enough for me, I believe. But sometimes I don't want to carry that, right? It is kind of heavy, it is kind of big, and maybe like in the summertime, I don't feel like wearing a holster and everything. That's where I got this here, little 32 auto. I just put it right in my pocket, with a pocket holster, and carry like that is extremely lightweight. What is this, like 7 rounds, 10 rounds? I don't even know, of a 32 auto, right? Now, will I get a 22 LR in the auto? I personally, I would prefer not. A revolver, I will, because a revolver doesn't really jam and the failure to feed and everything like that, But when it comes to semi-auto, I prefer centerfire cartridges, and then this is the smallest thing I got. So all right. That being said, yes, ammo choices. I don't care what ammo I use in there, as long as it's not my ammo that I use just to plink with, because I'll tell you, and I'll go to the desert, and I'll grab a bunch of this and I shoot, and once in a while it won't go off, and the spring in this thing is really strong. So if there's gonna be some, and for self-defense you want reliable, so I get higher quality stuff, just to carry around for self-defense. And then I got this like Remington yellow jacket, and of course the Federal Punch I hear is pretty good too. And it's just, no matter what, it's just some really cheap and inexpensive stuff. So yeah, good enough for me. Is it good enough for you? I don't know. Put it in the comments below. I'll come around and I'll read it. It'll be interesting discussion. All right, have a good one.